What is up, Knicks fans? Welcome back to yet another episode of Fireside Knicks with your hosts, Dylan and Davin. And today I want to talk about a report that came out yesterday from Stefan Bondi of the New York Post. The Knicks are actively shopping Jericho Sims in the trade market. Now, I think a lot of us kind of saw this coming. He hasn't really been playing a whole lot the past month or so. He's logged a lot of DNPs. I believe now this is 7 DNPs in the last 11 games, And I know yesterday he was listed out with back spasms, but even before that, he wasn't playing at all. He's basically been completely phased out of the rotation, and it is clear the Knicks have needs. They have bench needs. They badly need bench depth. It was clear once again last night against the Detroit Pistons. It's been clear for the past 2 weeks. It's been clear all season, if you could argue that too. So that's really what I want to sit here and talk about today. So Davin, first off, tell me how you're doing, and secondly, when you hear about this Jericho Sims report, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? Like, what do you think the Knicks are going to do about this?
Doing great as always, man. Thank you for asking. And to be quite honest, a career low 11 minutes per game right now. Jericho Sims, this was, like you said, it was kind of anticipated here. At the same time, what can you get? We saw Stefan Bondi say they're looking for a second-round pick for Jericho Sims. Are you going to necessarily get bench depth, or are you just going to get a future eighth grader or something right now? So we don't know necessarily what details they're going to formulate, but Sims is averaging only like 1.7 points per game, 3.5 rebounds a game. He's not necessarily in the rotation right now. He's been getting DNPs like we talked about. So it's like, at the moment right now, getting an enticing package for Jericho Sims, we're expecting a bench depth per se. It looks a little far-fetched at all. I think it's going to be pretty hard to get a package, but at the same time, there are a lot of teams out there. We saw listed talking about the Lakers, the Spurs, the Clippers are looking for backup bench depth and some size behind their centers. So things of that nature could formulate for Jericho Sims, and maybe we will get somebody that'll be enticing off the bench.
Yeah, I think what we need to really discuss is just how disappointing of a season he had. Because, this was easily his biggest opportunity, in my opinion, to land a long-time role in the rotation with the Knicks. Mitchell Robinson was out to start the year. In fact, he is still out right now, and so was Precious Achiuwa to start the year. So Jericho Sims was essentially the only center in the rotation, the only 7-footer behind Karl Anthony Towns. So, seeing how he played and, how disappointing he was on both ends of the ball, it was just disappointing, and I really think it was, the right time for the Knicks to kind of start looking to trade him, because he is a free agent after this season. I should mention that too, so it's good that they're going to kind of look to try to get something in return for him instead of just letting him walk away, even though, he has very little value right now in the market. As you said, it looks like they're just trying to get some draft capital. Who knows? Maybe they could use him to get some bench depth. I know James L. Edwards of The Athletic had, made some mock trades involving Jericho Sims, one of which included bringing back Alec Burks for Sims and a second-round pick. Now, I want to talk about that for a second because, me personally, it's like, I wouldn't mind doing that. I wouldn't, because, it's not like Jericho Sims plays to begin with, and the Knicks badly need bench scoring. They badly need a guy in the shooting guard / wing spot that can score. The Knicks are a little undersized, I get it. I know there's concerns about bringing in another guard, but they badly need scoring off the bench. Badly. Deuce McBride has been fine off the bench. He's averaging, I think, like 10 points per game or something like that. Still trying to get into rhythm again after coming back from the injury. But, looking at the whole season, the guys like Cameron Payne, Landry Shamet, Achiuwa, they have provided very, very little on the scoring front. I know Cameron Payne has looked a little bit better in the last 2 games, but we can't keep having this up and down sequence with Cameron Payne. We need to have, consistent bench scores because the depth is a problem. Once again, it's become a problem. I saw a thing earlier that there are 5 players in the NBA that have played, well over like 1,000 minutes, something like that, and they're all Knicks, and it's all the starting 5. So it is those guys. Now, credit to them for staying healthy and playing. That deserves some credit because, last year, of course, the injuries completely derailed the season, all that stuff, and we had some depth to kind of keep us afloat for a while until we just couldn't do it anymore, until we just ran out of bodies, right? But this time around, it has become, it's a lot more like, if one of these guys gets hurt, we're in trouble. We really are. We've seen some injury scares already. Karl Anthony Towns yesterday was messing with his thumb quite a lot. We still don't really know what the extent of that injury looks like. Jalen Brunson, of course, had that injury scare against the Bucks with his shoulder. We've seen, Brunson and Towns each miss a couple games this season. Luckily, there hasn't been any long-term injuries in the starting 5, but, at some point, you can't just assume that it's going to be that way all season. You have to be prepared for a worst-case scenario. And right now, I don't think the Knicks are in the position to do that. Because if one of these guys goes down, it's going to be rough. They badly need bench depth. Yesterday against the Detroit Pistons kind of gives you the example of it because the Knicks actually shot the ball very well yesterday. They were great offensively yesterday. but they couldn't get a stop on defense. It goes back to the consistency thing. They have no consistency right now. They're still trying to figure it out. They've lost 5 of their last 7 games after blowing out the Bucks. It looked like they were finally back, and then they go right back to losing to a good Pistons team this year. It is a completely different Pistons team than the one that it was last year, and the Pistons are also red hot right now. They've won, I think, 7 of their last 8 games. They're 2 games over 500. Cade Cunningham is playing like an all-NBA level player, so credit to them. But still, you feel like the Knicks should be winning these games, and even Josh Hart said that too. You feel like they should be winning these games, and the reason why they aren't winning these games, it goes back to what I said a couple weeks ago. It is the depth. It is the depth. Whether you want to believe that or not, whether you want to look at the box score yesterday and go, oh, well, 6 guys scored in double figures. It doesn't matter. We don't have any depth right now at all whatsoever, and it really worries me because we're playing the starters a lot of minutes. We're tiring these guys out. It was clear in the fourth quarter yesterday those guys were tired. A lot of shots were coming up short, a lot of silly mistakes, silly turnovers. So they really need depth. They need someone that can come in the game off the bench and provide a spark. We've had games where Cameron Payne has done that, same thing with Deuce McBride, but I want someone that can do it on a consistent basis. And I'm not saying Alec Burks is that answer. There's definitely other options out there. But my point is, if they're going to trade Jericho Sims like they say they are, I think they should try to get some bench depth out of it. Obviously, his value is very low, so I don't really know what they're going to be able to get. But if you can get a bench piece, even if it's not like a significant bench piece, if it's anybody that you can trust in the rotation, you need to do it. You need to pull the trigger and do it. That's what I think about that. I want to get your input on that, though.
Yeah, yesterday's the loss to the Pistons. I'm not too shocked on that, only because I've talked about this on social media apps and everything. The Knicks have a tendency to, kind of it ebbs and flows of the season. We talked about that last time we had this show. So it's like, the lose to the Pistons, the second of a back-to-back. We're not going to harp on that too much. At the same time, you saw little things that are really glaring, that really stuck out as far as depth is concerned. The lazy defense, the lazy lack of communication, things of that nature. Things are the bench is not keeping the starters up of that nature because they're all playing 40 minutes a game. Like you said, top guys are all top 10 in minutes per game in the league, which is crazy. But there's certain things that just kind of stick out to me with this team right now. And it's like, until you have a real, a set hierarchy as far as bench and starters are provided, because right now Mikal Bridges is like a bridge from the bench onto the starters, and then same thing with Josh Hart. So these guys are playing excessive minutes, not really finding their niche in their roles like they should. You would think would they find they have a one good game, they found their spark, but that's not the case. Not the case at all. It's poor shot distribution across the board. But they relax on back-to-back to relax in those 3 games in 4 nights, and those situations would not come up if they had more bench depth. If they had a situation where they feel like they didn't have to, they can go hard every single night because they know they're going to play 32 minutes and get off the floor because you have a nice enough bench to provide us time to relax like that. And the Knicks have not been having that all season. Malik Beasley torched these guys in the fourth quarter yesterday in clutch time, and it's like no one could get out to them. These guys were hustling and running all what they could, just looking lost, their legs looking tired out there. And it's really kind of, I wouldn't say it was bad to see that because they all had great games. But on the second of a back-to-back, honestly, my expectations are this. I don't expect the guys. This team is built for the playoffs. It's built for spring. It's built for April, not necessarily for the early January grind. It's just not what it is for this team at the moment. I believe there is a gear they can go to, but without this bench depth provided, they kind of know how to control the ebbs and flows. Oh, we're going to go destroy the Bucks tonight, but tomorrow night's a tough game. We might not go all the way on that one. That's just the way this team's operating. It kind of has to operate that way until they get some good facilitators off the bench.
Right, and people are blaming Tom Thibodeau for this problem, and I don't understand why, personally. I understand Tibbs has his flaws, and I know I've defended Thibodeau a lot, and I know people have, agreed with me, and other people have not, and that's perfectly fine. You're entitled to your own opinion as well as I am, but still, I don't believe it is Thibodeau's fault for this situation right now, because who do you want him to play? I'm sorry, but who? I understand there are people clamoring for Tyler Kolek to play, or Dadier to play, Hukporti to play. There's some logic behind playing those guys, sure, but there's also logic behind not playing those guys for the reasons I outlined in the previous video. It's not going to be any different. You need to get someone that is an established player that is going to provide a positive impact right away, and not a raw prospect that you don't know what he's going to give you. Because what happens if you do play him and he sucks? Are you going to blame the player, or are you going to blame Thibodeau for playing him? What are you going to, you know what I mean? So that's really the way I see it about that, and I think they just badly need bench depth, and sadly Jericho Sims did not give us that bench depth that we were hoping he was going to give us. Like I said, this was his best opportunity to make a statement in the rotation, to kind of make a play for it. Mitchell Robinson was out, Achua was out, the door was wide open for him. It was wide open. He had a chance. He's also made 35 career starts. He has gotten an opportunity. He has had a very long leash for a player that has made virtually no improvements whatsoever to his game. I'm just being honest here. I'm not even like trying to grill the guy, but it's just that's why the Knicks are trying to trade him, because they see no value in him whatsoever. They finally realize that he is just not a good player. He's not meant for this team. Maybe he'll be good somewhere else, and if he is, great. That's fantastic for him. I will, be very happy with that. I will root for the guy, all that stuff. But it is simple that he was not providing an impact enough on this Knicks team, and it's clear that they're moving on. And it's good that they are. It's good that they're prioritizing the needs that they need to address. They need to address the bench depth, and that's what they're trying to do. Now, I will say this. It breaks me to say this part, but they're not going to be able to make like a league-changing, altering move this trade deadline. And you know what? That's fine. I mean, they made two blockbusters in the summer, so that's what you kind of had to do. You take that risk going all in the summer, and you hope that the rest of the guys will pan out. They're not going to make like a league-shifting move this trade deadline. But I do think that they should at least acquire an established NBA player that will get in the rotation right away and make an impact right away. You acquire draft capital, cool. I want to see them use that draft capital to get other established players. I don't want to see them just stash onto those picks once again for no reason. You know what I mean? Like if you get Jericho Sims for 1 or 2 second-round picks and that's it, okay, fine. Now use those picks to facilitate another trade. I'm being so serious. I think they need to really kind of look at this bench and go, okay, this is not working. We need to make an adjustment here. They need scoring because they rank dead last in bench points per game. They have all season. They had that issue last season too. It's been a problem for a while. Sure, maybe that's a product of Tom Thibodeau running an 8 to 9 man rotation, but at the same time, you're playing guys you're expecting to do something for you off the bench, and they're not giving you anything. That's why the starters are playing as many minutes as they are, and that's a problem. There's a ripple effect to that. People are going to blame Thibodeau for it, that he's running the stars into the ground, but again, he kind of doesn't have a choice. The bench is giving him nothing. They've given him virtually nothing all season, aside from a couple games this season, and aside from the Bucks game where Cameron Payne had like 18 points. Because look at these other teams. You just mentioned the Pistons last night. Malik Beasley comes into the game off the bench, 18 minutes off the bench, 22 points, 6 threes. Isaiah Joe from the Thunder, when we played them last week, 31 points or whatever it was, and 23 in the first half. I'm not saying those games are going to happen often, but these teams have the depth to where a guy can come in the game and you can trust him. You can trust that guy to come in and give you a spark, give you some scoring, give you some impact in other areas. Now, I know people are saying move Josh Hart to the bench because that's what he can do, but Josh Hart is too good to kind of just take out of the starting 5. And if you switch him with someone else, it's not going to be any different because Josh Hart's still going to end up playing close to 40 minutes every night. So what is the point in doing that? There is no point. So at that point, you need to just get some bench depth pieces that can provide some scoring, and that's really it. You got to get a wing or something or a taller guy. If you get another guard, then you got to move one of Cameron Payne or Shamit or Kolek or someone, because you can't have too many guards on the roster. You got to have some size, but still, one way or the other, they got to get guys that can score. There's other options too. They can always elevate T.J. Warren from the G League if they don't do anything. Yep. But at the same time, if you can find someone that is available and that is ready to play right now, and he'll give you a good impact in a trade somewhere for not too hefty of a price for a couple draft picks or even for Jericho Sims like we're talking about in this video, then you gotta do it. Because Jericho Sims was too disappointing this season, and that's why he's out of the rotation now. It's why the Knicks are trying to trade him. It's sad because Sims has been around for 4 seasons. You would have thought by now that he would have shown some significant improvement in his game. Maybe been a better defensive player, or I know the stats will tell you he was great defensively, but he still was making some simple lapses on that end of the floor. That's why he's not in the rotation, because if he was that great of a defender, he would still be playing right now. I'm just being honest. They wouldn't care about how many points he's putting up, but the fact that he's had those issues there, and of course the complete liability on offense, 1.7 points per game as you mentioned earlier, and I know it's in a limited capacity of minutes, but still, he's not shooting the ball at all whatsoever. There's no aggression on that end of the floor. That's why he's not playing. That's why he's not playing. That's why the Knicks are trying to trade him. I'm glad they're doing it. I just need bench depth. That's all I need. I don't have much else to say though. I want to give you an opportunity to kind of just let out any final thoughts before we wrap this video up.
No, yeah, that win less yesterday, like I said, not too much on that Pistons loss. At the same time, 17 turnovers. Like you said, the depth is all we've been really looking forward to here. Relax has gone back-to-back to get enough of that after a while. And beyond that, man, we're going to have ourselves a good tourney here. Getting these guys back healthy and getting these guys back on track, what it's all about. That's Knicks basketball going forward, man. We can't look too deep into this. these losses, like I said earlier, I mean, beyond that, the playoffs is what this team is built for. I believe right now is going to be just about the grind and getting us, like you said, past the trade deadline and see what happens from here.
Yeah, and it's a good thing that this team is built for the playoffs, but I don't want these guys to be too tired for the playoffs. That's really all I want, and I think a way to
Absolutely.
prevent that is to get some bench depth because people are saying play these guys, play XYZ, play him, play him. It's not going to be any different. When Tyler Kolek comes in, he plays 6 minutes instead of 2 minutes. You guys are still going to complain that it's Thibodeau's fault. So you can't win. You can't win with some Knicks fans, and it's fine. It's how that's the landscape of the NBA. It's the landscape of fans' opinions, and everyone, like I said, is entitled to their own opinion. We don't attack people's opinions on this show. But either way, you know how I feel. You know how Davin feels. I think we're making good points here. But if you disagree, you disagree. You agree. Great, awesome. But I don't have much else to say about this. I think we get the point now. I think we've made it clear where we stand on this situation and where we think the Knicks can improve to be a better team because they are sliding right now, and I know they'll snap out of it at some point, but they have to do some things to snap out of it, and that's what we laid out in this video. We really hope you guys did enjoy this video, though. Let us know what you think about Jericho Sims or trade deadline stuff or any of that stuff in the comment section below because we would both love to hear about it. You can follow us on all of our social media platforms. We're on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and of course this YouTube page that you were watching the video on. You can follow me and Davin's personal Twitter accounts. They're right there above our heads. And we will see you guys in the next episode of Fireside Knicks. Peace out.